Hello everyone. Good morning, and hope you and your fish are doing well. I'm in the fish room today, kind of back to a little bit of normalcy, I think I'll say, which has been nice. I've gotten some setbacks, I think, as a result of being overwhelmed, but hopefully things are coming back towards being on the right track. So you can see here, I'm just doing a little bit of feeding in the rainbow fish aquarium. A little bit more light for y'all there. And I just kind of figured this video would be a brief-ish, hopefully 15 minutes or less. Although now that I said that, it's almost guaranteed to go longer. Just a day of maintenance and you know, all that I need to get done in one day here. So, you know, starting with the feeding, got a little bit of the Sarah Onip tabs in there, which you can see the frontosa just goes in and pulls off the glass before anybody else gets a chance. Then let me zoom over. So I'll probably just come. So then this is the bottom 10-gallon rack. You can see I am doing a water change right now. All 10 of these I try to keep on the same cycle. So today it'll just be a water change for all 4 of those. And then right up above it in this little yellow Neocaridina, which you wouldn't even know until you saw the shrimp in there. So this is just way too much guppy grass. I gotta get in here and thin it out. And you can also see down here, I've got a lot of isopods and shrimp and just all sorts of stuff going on. And so thinning it out is gonna be a slow, methodical process just to make sure that, you know, you're not taking baby shrimp out at the same time. So if I could get all of that stuff done in one day, that would be a win. You can see down here I've got some brine shrimp going. They'll be hatched in about, I don't know, 24 hours, 36 at most. It's a little cool in here, and I don't really run heat or anything to it. So yeah, that's the plan for today. I will check back in just a little bit once I've got some more stuff done. Okay, so it's a little bit later. Thought I'd just post an update. I've got some grindle worms in here for the cories to be munching on. I've got most of the morning feedings done. The glare in here is pretty bad, I apologize, but I still wanted to post an update since, you know, these guys are going through medication right now. This guy looks really good right now, actually. And so these guys are munching. Let me take you up. And welcome to one of the rainbow grow out tanks here. You can see I've got several that are actually just about ready to be moved into the 40-gallon breeder. This is a 20-gallon long that they've been doing really, really good in. And then you can see right here, I've got some rocks ready to go in for the Hillstream loaches. That's a project that I'm working towards, so I hope to get those in today. Here's one of the pea puffers out for a morning hunt. You can see I do have quite a bit of light. Sometimes I'll come in here and open the window, and as long as I do it in moderation, I haven't had it create any algae issues. And I just think they really do well hunting under natural light. So you can see he's got quite a big belly on him. These guys have been doing really well in here for me. But these guys are also about to move over to a 20-gallon that I've just got pretty well infested with scuds and other good things for them to hunt and thrive in. So then they'll be moving soon as well. Okay, and I just wanted to give a little bit of an update on the 40-gallon breeder. You can see that a lot of the crypt that I've put in here has melted back all the way down, and it's just now starting to grow back. And these are the youngest of the rainbow fish fry that are growing out currently. So Kind of tough to show a lot of this without turning the aquarium lights on. And, you know, I also do a lot of this work before any of those lights come on. And yep, so there you can see a little bit of the crypt that's coming back in, and it's a slow process, but well worth it in the end. Who doesn't love yo-yo loaches, right? Get it to focus for you. So you can see I'm working on the third tank still here. Just take a couple more minutes and we'll get this last one down. Then we'll refill them. Basically, this is kind of a little bit of a transition period for me, because as far as maintenance is concerned, a lot of these aquariums are shifting towards being kind of unnecessary to do water changes based on stocking level and plants and things like that. Now, that's not all the tanks. I want to be clear about that. It's not all the tanks. But you know, like all 4 of these ones down here don't ever really need to have water changes based on the usual criteria that we learn to use, which is the nitrogen cycle. So nitrates just never get high enough to really warrant a water change. So when I do top-offs, I've been using distilled water, and that's where I'm going with the RO system eventually, because I can't top off with my tap water, or the TDS would just go off the charts, like into the thousands. And so I am kind of trying to still figure out what does the water change schedule makes, you know, that makes sense, and like what is that once a month? Is that, you know, and how much too is that? So you can see I've kind of got the same amount drained from each, and I'm gonna top it. I'm gonna basically do a water change at the same time with all of these. These 2 20-gallon tanks, I would say, are also, and I know this is a terrible view, but just talking about water quality. So these 2 20-gallon tanks with all the plants in them are very much the same, and I've gone to mostly topping off with distilled water. So that is forcing me to check a little bit more of the mineral content in terms of buffering and GH and KH, and making sure that that makes sense. But I haven't had any negative effects with the cycle or with fish dying or anything like that. It's just been fewer water changes. And my hope is that I can sort of just get on a monthly schedule with all of these tanks, to where it's more automatic and less testing and figuring out like where the tanks actually are, because it's just consistent month to month. So I'll probably chime back in once I've got all these tanks drained and the water pumps replacing water. Okay, so here's one of the other reasons I'm trying to adjust my schedule. These are some koi guppies. That one big one in there is, I think, just a full albino. But there you can see same coloration, and there's 4 of them. There's one in the back there that's checking out other stuff. So these fish I've had in with 2 males for weeks. And you can tell all of the females, they do look pregnant. They have all the telltale signs, the gravid spots looking big, but it has been way longer than it should have been for them to be dropping any fry. And so either they are extremely efficient at eating all of their fry, which I just don't think is likely. I've never had that struggle with this line before. And I've got all this guppy grass in here too, so there's just enough that I would see at least one. And I'm starting to wonder if it's the lack of water changes in here. You know, while the water quality is fine, maybe the mineral content is dropping or something along those lines. Maybe it was the males being in here with them constantly, you know, harassing them. So I've taken the males out. It is back to just the 4 females in here, and we're gonna do a water change and see if that can entice them to start giving me some fry. And at least that's my next move on this. Definitely not an expert. So this is what refilling looks like. I know I've showed this before, but just figured it's good to re-show stuff. And this is all so you can see each tank and about the flow rate that's coming through each of these 2. And each aquarium has 2 lines. And they all just fill back up at the same time. Turn it on and off with a switch. So I'll be sitting here waiting. I've got this aquarium over here draining while I've got these ones filling now. And then when that one's done draining, I'll move up to that one. And then basically we just fill those up and we're done. So hopefully you kind of get an idea of how I do water changes without auto water system set up. Just for anyone who thinks having a cat and fish aquariums is a good idea. So a pretty regular battle is keeping her out of trouble in here. And I think oftentimes it's easy just to show the, I guess, the parts of it that make it look funny, but genuinely, when she's in here, she's usually up to no good. Yeah. Okay, so this is follow-up. I am just refilling the 20-gallon tanks like I had talked about. And you can see the madness. I know, hi cat. So, just, you know, showing you to the source how it's run across the floor here and to the aquariums, where hopefully the cat doesn't get in the way. It could depend on how big of a water change, but typically for these larger tanks, 10-gallon and up, you want more than 2 spouts or you're just gonna be here all day. And so this one's just about finished up. This one's got a ways to go. Definitely the higher up the aquarium, the bigger the pump needs to be in order to get the water up that high. But yeah, so these will be done in no time. And then I think the next couple of things that I need to get done, I want to get some zucchini in the aquarium. I'll show you how I do that, you know, in probably several aquariums. And then I actually, okay, so this is going to be a little bit longer video. So then, just to show you, this is a bucket of guppy grass that I think is just going to end up in the trash. This is star grass that I don't want to throw all of it away, but I don't really have a way of doing anything useful with it. So there's a couple tanks that I'm going to try to put a couple more pieces of this in, and then only then will I have the ability to get to this tank where I'll be adding even more guppy grass. So you can really see how this is kind of like a cascade effect of having to get stuff done before you can get to your actual goal. Okay, so I've got the tanks refilled at this point, and I guess I could show you, I'll show you real quick. Sorry for the spin around. All I was able to get, so you have an idea, this is one of the tanks in here. It's not even a good shot. So this is the stargrass bundle that I saved out of that bucket. And I know it's not a lot, but I already have it growing in quite a few aquariums, and I think that's where it would make sense if you have plants growing like that, to maybe develop a relationship with a store where you can drop them off at, or an aquarium club or something like that. But I don't have that, so we just kind of use what we can, and then the rest of it, at least for right now, it's winter, I don't really have a place to put it that's useful in a garden or anything, so it goes in the trash. Now, what I'm doing for the rest of the tanks with food today is, this is zucchini. I like to use organic zucchini, and you're just gonna cut them up in little slices like this. It doesn't really matter too much on how thick you make them. And this will be fed in pretty much any of the tanks that I run. You'd be surprised the fish that'll munch on these. So primarily I'm doing this for the Cory catfish, I'm doing it for the Hillstream loaches and the shrimp, but the guppies love to eat on it, the rainbow fish and tetras love to eat on it. So now we have a good chunk of them, okay? The way I like to feed these, you're gonna notice I have some rings here. This is literally just leftover PVC that I've cut into pieces and then sanded so that, I don't know if you can see it on camera, but all of the edges are nice and smooth. When I first started doing this, I had mostly cichlid tanks, and so the size was kind of important for them not to get nicked or even stuck in there. Right now, the fish that I have, it doesn't really matter, but keep that in mind. That's why I do have a few different sizes. If you have bigger fish, you know, don't put these smaller ones in there where they could get stuck. But basically then what I like to do is stuff them, and I won't do all of these on camera, so don't worry. But I got an algae wafer here. I'll break these up into smaller pieces, and then you're just going to stuff them in there. We'll come in here and we'll get some shrimp pellets. And I find that not only I think it helps spread the food out, but it helps attract maybe some pickier eaters to the food. So this other cracker that I'm feeding is from Cats Aquatics. Again, I'm not sponsored by anybody, I'm just some guy. And I find that my shrimp really love the crackers from Cats Aquatics. Lots of stuff love stuff from Cats Aquatics, so highly recommended that. And I'm not going overboard, like I'll put maybe 4 pieces in each one, so we're looking for something like that. And then I call them Fish Keeper's best friend, but these are zip ties. And for some of them, I'll do this, you know, where you make 2 out of them. Okay. Put this one through. And put this one through. It doesn't, I mean, you can see I'm not being super particular with these. They go together fast, for me anyway. And I'll pre-make as many as I have here, and then I can just go through the room and dump them in. Oops, kind of got this one twisted a little bit. Of course, that happens for camera, right? But the idea what I like to do is spread them out a little bit like this. Here, let me shove these back in. Oops. It's all gonna get eaten up anyway, so it doesn't have to look pretty. Maybe this will stay better in there. Cool. And then this one's ready to go. And you just trim these pieces off with scissors real quick, and then dump that in. So give me 1 second, and I'll do that for you. So I'm just gonna do a quick whip around here and show the tanks. Oh, sorry, just turn the lights on real quick for this part. And you can see here, for example, like I literally just dropped this in about, oh, 30 seconds ago. And you can see the shrimp all love this. I'll come down here. I forgot to even mention one of the biggest reasons I do this is for auto sinkless. And again, I just walked through. This guy is already chomping down on his zucchini, trying to claim his territory. But I mean, even these mountain cloud minnows will get down on some of this stuff. You can see one of my massive Amano shrimps here, or I should say two of them, and the blue Neocaridina trying to get some. This is one of the tanks. This is where I'm planning on moving my pea puffer colony, so you can see I have scuds here as well. Try to get the light not to shine so bright. So yeah, I dumped these in all of my shrimp tanks, all of my tanks with auto sinkless. It's just a great way to get food over a sustained period of time for some of them. You can see I have a Malaysian trumpet snail just, you know, onslaught in here. But the tank nevertheless thrives. And so yeah, that's feeding zucchini. You know, while I'm at it, I guess the other piece that I hear people debate a lot is whether you should blanch them or you know, I don't know, prepare them in some way. I just find that if I really do the research and read into it, any way that I have of preparing them just seems to also take nutrients out of the zucchini. So I buy organic, I rinse it, I don't do anything, and I attach it to these little PVC rings so that they sink to the bottom for the fish. And you can see it's still up here causing feeding frenzy. Even the little coolie loach friend is gonna come out and get some. You know, he's kind of heard there's some good food out. You can see the other autos coming up, gonna have some fun. So I mean, even with the lights on, they don't hesitate. So get on this if it's not something you do for your fish, whether you have a fish room like this or whether you have one tank. It can benefit pretty much any species. So folks, just now am I finally getting to this 5-gallon rainforest of guppy grass. There are other plants in here like Java, different variety of Java fern. I've got, believe it or not, an Amazon sword in a 5-gallon tank, which I, you know, actually wouldn't not recommend. That's worked out kind of well, so far at least. But eventually, you know, I'm sure it'll kind of become overwhelming. First step to this is just draining some of the water down. So I'm doing that right now. You can kind of tell right here the water is slowly going down. I don't need a ton of it out, but then basically I'm just going to show y'all a time lapse, if I am successful in what I'm trying to do here, of me taking some of this guppy grass out so you can see from start to finish. Right, okay. I think this is going to be a better viewing experience, and after I got into this a little bit, I realized it's going to be a lot harder to clear all of the living stuff out of here in one go than I thought. So it's not going to be just a little bucket that I'm putting them in. I've got a 5-gallon bucket ready, and I think, like I said, I'm just going to shut up now and get through some of this guppy grass for y'all. So here is the final product. Well, after cleaning, I should say. You can, in fact, tell that there are yellow neocaridina shrimp in here, which I'm happy about, as well as isopods. That's really, as far as intentional things that I've added, that's really it. It should be a bunch of isopods and a bunch of neocaridina shrimp. And so I'll come back in now and add a very small amount of guppy grass back just to cover up the top and add a little bit of cover for the smallest of the baby shrimp. But really now it's just a matter of finishing the water change, and you'll probably hear that start to come through now. See here, you can see a big old nice yellow shrimp here. This has been a kind of challenging line of shrimp for me for some reason. Maybe it's where I got it from, but this is really the first tank I've gotten a solid line of babies and where I'm not worried about it crashing. So just when you think you have it figured out, right? But I don't do anything fancy. One of the things that you'll note in my shrimp and small invertebrate tank only aquariums, I drain the water with airline tubing. I find it does take longer. Oh, sorry for the butter. It does take longer, but it also stops me from sucking up a bunch of the smallest of the small babies, and I can sit here and kind of just monitor a little bit easier to see what's getting too close to the entrance. But yeah, I'll finish up a water change in here, and just while I'm at it, we'll zoom over here. Sorry for the fast pan, just to show you, checking in on the zucchini here. This is the guppy tank where I had a big crash, and I mentioned it a couple videos back. So these are the survivors, and they're munching on the zucchini along with the shrimp. So again, just goes to show, no matter what fish you have, feed them some veggies. Get it in there and enjoy the show. Well, pardon the cloudy water. We're just finishing the water top off in this tank here with the yellows. We're closing in on about noon today on my last day off. It's Monday. My work weeks, they start on Tuesdays, so, oh, perfect timing, here you go. So, you know, and that's without me getting to a lot of the jobs that I had said at the beginning of the video that I wanted to get to. So that's the rocks that I need to put into the Fishroom loach tank. I've got some other, you know, just scaping with plants that I need to thin out again in the minnow tank. If I don't stay on top of that pearlweed, it will literally just choke itself out, and it becomes so thin and ugly that, you know, you wouldn't even want it in any of your tanks. So, you know, my fish room has to be able to run on basically where I can do emergency things. Like, so for example, I'm treating the cories. Well, they'll need water changes and medication things during the weekday. And that's fine. That won't take me more than a few minutes while I'm feeding the fish room like I do every night. But as far as maintenance, hang on here. Sorry, y'all, I had to turn off the water pump before it overflowed. So, but what I was saying is, as far as maintenance during the week with this fish room, I really need it to be able to run very efficiently without me being able, you know, having to do anything except feed. I don't do water changes during the week. I don't move fish during the week. So like I was saying, I still have a lot of work to do with my guppies and moving babies around. So again, today was productive. I spent probably about 4 hours in the fish room, all in all, that I've taken you along with today. But just to give you an idea, it's never over, and it's got to be something that you really, really enjoy doing, or it's just going to feel like work all the time. And then even when you do enjoy it, if you don't have it set up efficiently, it's still going to feel like work. So hopefully this video was, if nothing else, enjoyable background noise while you're doing some maintenance on your fish aquarium. Thanks for joining me with the work today, and you know, I will have the future videos. Like I keep saying, I'm working on that pea puffer video for you all, but that one's taking a little bit more editing than my other videos with like voiceovers, and then I'm also hoping to be able to complete that video with a move over to the 20-gallon long, so you can kind of see what that process looks like. So it's taking a while, but if nothing else, this is hopefully a return back to just some average fish room day activities. And before the day is done, I need to refresh some vinegar heel cultures too. So I will get to work on that, and hope you have a lovely rest of your day and week until I see you next time. Thanks for watching.